Hi everyone, my name is Kate. Welcome back to my wondernetting channel. Today we are going to crochet a baby blanket. I think it's time to make this project because there is not much time left until my baby is born while I'm filming this. I'm 32 weeks pregnant. By the time you say this, it's probably will be 35 weeks maybe. So it's definitely time to make a blanket because I want to have it ready for the baby's first days. We've already ordered most of big essentials like crib, mattress, changing table, the dresser. The only big things left are the stroller, which I've already chosen. I need to order it, and a baby bathtub. As for the baby clothes, I think I'll start with the small items like maybe little hats or booties. To crochet or knit them. Maybe I'll also make a toy. Clothes are a bit tricky right now because I don't know what size she will be when she's born. So it will probably be easier to crochet something after she arrives. But who knows, maybe I'll still manage to make something like bodysuits or maybe two. I've saved so much baby patterns, so it's hard to say if I will be able to make all I want before she comes. Anyway, today we're starting with a baby blanket, and this video will be part tutorial, part study vlog. I leave the time codes so you can skip to the part you need. I already started working with this baby blanket because I decided to make it from granny squares. And as you know, the baby blanket needs a lot of them. So let's take a yarn that I need to continue making these granny squares. I'm using Hobby Bella Coco Merino Decay yarn. It's 100% merino wool, size 2 fine yarn. In one skein, 50 grams, 165 meters. Recommended hook size 4.5 millimeters. I had 12 skeins of this yarn. One skein is over there, the second skein is over there, and here I have left 6 skeins. So right now I have 8 skeins of this yarn. So I already used 4 skeins. So this is a beautiful milk shade color number 01. It's very soft to touch and really nice for the baby blankets. Personally, I really wanted something cozy, and cozy for me means white and natural tones, so the baby blanket will be all in this color, in white milk color. But don't worry, I don't plan to be a beige mom. Of course, the clothes for my baby girl will be not only from white or beige colors, but also from pinks, blue, mint colors, purple colors. I calculated for the blanket 70 by 70 centimeters or 80 by 80 centimeters. I need to make 7 squares by 7 squares blanket. 7 by 7 squares, it will be 49 squares. I finished 30, so I still need 19 squares to make. Each granny square takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to make, so you understand how much time involved. The pattern for this granny square I found on Pinterest. I put the chart right here so you can screenshot it. Each square is made of 7 rows, and I chose this pattern because I really wanted something delicate, not the usual one. I think it gives really cozy vibes, especially in this milk color. Just imagine the whole blanket with these granny squares. That's so cute! So let's move on to make granny squares. Alright, let me give you a closer look at the yarn. I'll tell you exactly how many skeins we'll need for the blanket at the end of the video. So here's what the label looks like. I'll be using 4 millimeters crochet hook, and by the way, the link to this yarn you will find below the video. We're going to start with a magic ring. If you prefer, you can just chain 4 or 5 stitches, join them into a ring, and work from there, whatever feels easier for you. Now chain 3, These first 3 chains already count as our first double crochet. Then into the ring we are going to make 15 more double crochets together with the first chain 3, that gives us 16 double crochets in total. So yarn over, insert the hook into the ring, grab the yarn, pull it out, crochet first 2 loops, then 2 more. It's a double crochet. So make 15 double crochets into the ring. Now we're going to tighten the ring by pulling the tail and then close around with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of that very first chain 3, just like this. Next, chain 4. And see how these 4 chains sit right above the chain from the previous round. Into the next stitch we are going to make double crochet and chain 1. And that's what we'll do all the way around. In each stitch work 1 double crochet and chain 1. By the end you should have 16 double crochets total, with 1 chain in between each of them. Here's what it should look like. At the very end, don't forget to add 1 chain between the first and the last double crochet. Then close the round with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of that very first chain of 3. Next chain of 3. Now into this open space between the stitches we are going to work 2 double crochets and then make 1 double crochet right on top of the stitch from the previous round. And we'll just keep repeating that all the way around. 2 double crochets in the space and 1 double crochet on top of the stitch from the previous round. Here's what it should look like. We're going to close the round with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain. Make chain 1 and make a single crochet under the chain. Then chain 5, and after that skip 2 stitches at the bottom and into the 3rd stitch make a single crochet, then chain 2. Again skip 2 stitches and into the 3rd make a single crochet, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, make a single crochet and chain 2. Again skip 2 more stitches and then chain 5. And that's the repeat for the whole round. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet, chain 5. Just keep going like that all the way around. At the end you should finish with a chain 2. Close the round with a slip stitch into the 1st single crochet, then make slip stitch into the 1st arch. Now chain 3 and into the same space work 4 more double crochets. Then chain 3 and into the same space make another 5 double crochets. In the next chain space make a single crochet. In the following chain space work 5 double crochets. In the next one, make a single crochet again. And in the next space, we are going to make 5 double crochets. Chain 3 and 5 more double crochets. That's how we form the corners of the square. From here we'll just keep repeating the same sequence. Single crochet in one space, then 5 double crochets in the next, single crochet in the next, and then another corner, 5 double crochets, chain 3 and 5 double crochets. So this is the little square we've got so far. We're going to close the round with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the first chain 3 and then make chain of 8. In the corner space, make a single crochet, chain 3 and another single crochet into the same corner. Then chain 5 and work a double crochet into this single crochet from the previous round. Next, chain 3 and make a single crochet into the middle stitch of those 5 double crochets from the previous round. Then chain 3 again and work a double crochet into the next single crochet from the previous round. After that, chain 5 and in the corner make single crochet, chain 3 and another single crochet. From here, just keep repeating the same sequence, chain 5, double crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, double crochet, chain 5 and into the corner, single crochet, chain 3 and single crochet. Close the round with a slip stitch into the third chain, then make a slip stitch into the first chain space and chain 3. Into that same space, work 4 more double crochets. Now, in the corner space, make 3 double crochets, chain 2 and another 3 double crochets. In the next space, work 5 double crochets. In the following space, make 3 double crochets. In the next one, also 3 double crochets. And into the next space, make 5 double crochets. When we got to the corner, we do the same 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets into the same corner. Then just keep repeating the same sequence until the end of the round. This will be our final row. Close the row with a slip stitch into the third chain of the first chain 3. Now you can cut the yarn and pull the tail through. At this point, we should view in all the ends. I really recommend viewing them in right after finishing each square, that way it will be much easier later. And here's our pretty little square all done. Now you just need to make as many of these squares as you need for your blanket. I don't think I'll finish all 19 green squares today. It will probably take me about 3 more days, but I'll try to get it done as quickly as possible so I can move on to the next project. For example, I want to make a bunny, a toy. I got a yarn, I got a stuffing, but I don't have safety eyes yet. For the bunny, I'll be using maybe kid mohair yarn because I want to make it fluffy and cute. Besides the blanket, I want to make a storage baskets for the dresser, you know, to things like diapers, cotton pads, some baby stuff, baby clothing, so I can put these baskets into our dresser. I've already have the cotton cord yarn for that, for these baskets. I have it over here, and in my previous video I showed you what yarn I bought for the baby. I'll link that video below, or maybe you will see it right here. And also the yarn I'm using today, I'll leave a link to it below the video. If we hadn't moved from Vietnam to Spain, I probably would have started to make baby clothes, baby stuff much earlier. But since we were relocating, I didn't want to bring yarn, crochet stuff here, so right now I'm trying to catch up and make everything I can before she arrives. By the way, I'm working for the new tutorials for this channel, not only baby stuff, but I want to make a cardigan for adults. Oh, it's true. Also, I'm working on my paid pattern, on my new paid pattern. I want to crochet a cardigan with cables. Cozy fall cardigan. I wanted to make it for a long time, so I'm really excited about that. Also have a maternity photo shoot coming up soon, and this one won't feature any of my crochet clothes, crochet cardigans or sweaters, but after the baby is born, I want to do a family photo shoot, maybe in matching crochet outfits. I think it will be really cute and pretty. Honestly, this is such a special time because there is not much time left before the baby comes, and I do feel a bit nervous, not about a labor, but about how life will change afterwards. My mom will be coming to stay with us for about months or months and a half, and it will be a huge help. She is a professional nanny, so I know it will be an amazing support. I'll try to film some tutorials ahead of time, so I won't leave you without any tutorials here on YouTube, but you can always follow me on my Instagram. There I will be posting more about my daily life and how my life will change. And by the way, another update, my husband right now is developing a mobile app for us crocheters and knitters. All sorts of helpful tools like yarn calculators, gauge calculators, swatch adapters, already using it during the development, and it's so much convenient, you just can't imagine. I think the first version might be ready this fall, so I'll share updates first on Instagram and then here. Alright, enough talking, let's make another granny square as quickly as possible. By the way, from one skein I can make 7 granny squares, so for the whole blanket, 7 squares by 7 squares, I'll need 7 skeins. And with the other skeins, I'll join these squares together and make a beautiful edging. Like I mentioned before, for my blanket, I'm going to need 49 squares because it's going to be a square blanket, 7 squares across and 7 squares down. It actually took me about 4 days to make all the squares. The least favorite part, of course, is viewing all the ends after each one. Try to view them in really well so they don't stick out later. So, I finished all 49 squares. Here's what they look like. I like to lay them out in little piles, and now we need to block them. I'm not going to water them right now. I'll wash the finished blanket at the very end. For now, I just want to make the squares neat and even. To do that, I'll be using an iron, a spray bottle with water, and some bobby pins. Unfortunately, I don't have a proper blocking board for squares, so I'm just using a pillow and the couch. You can totally do the same if you don't have blocking tools. So here's what I do. I take a square, spray it with water, then press it through a piece of fabric. I'm using a muslin cloth. I press it on both sides, and it comes out nice and flat. Then I pin it down with bobby pins, in my case right into the pillow, so it can cool down and keep its shape. I repeat the same process with all the squares. It's not a quick process, but you can press several squares at once to make it faster. And of course, it's always better if you have a blocking board. But look at the result, the squares are so much more even after pressing. And here are all 49 of them. It doesn't look like much, but this is going to be the whole blanket. Now you can lay them out to see how wide your blanket will be. You might decide to make a few extra squares if you want it bigger. For me, I think this is enough. The approximate size right now is about 83 by 83 centimeters. And now it's time to start joining the squares together. We're going to start joining the squares from the corners, and I'll be using a specific method, but honestly you can join them in whatever feels way easiest for you. I'll be using a flat seam. So here's how we do it. Insert your hook into the second chain space on one square and go through the back loop only, and on the other square go through the same chain space but into the front loop only, like this. Grab your yarn, pull the loop through and bring it out. Next, on one side, insert into the back loop, and on the other side, insert into the front loop of the next stitch. And make sure your working yarn stays under the hook. That's important. Now grab the yarn and pull it through all the loops on your hook. This process isn't super fast, so just be patient with it. Then move to the next stage, back loop on one square and front loop on the other square. Keep the working yarn under the hook, grab the yarn and pull it through all the loops. And you'll just keep repeating this until you reach the next corner of the two squares, all the way up to the first chain space, including the first chain space. Here's what the seam looks like. It's nice and flat, and on the other side it looks like this. Once we've reached the next corner, we can start attaching the next squares. Like I mentioned earlier, I made one chain in the corners of the previous squares, and now I insert the hook into the second chain of the new square again. Back loop on the side and front loop on the other side. The working yarn stays under the hook, then I pull it through all the loops, and that's it, the next square is joined. From here we just keep going in the same way, joining all the squares together. First we'll work across in horizontal rows, and then we'll go back and join the vertical rows. Like I said, it's not a super fast process, but once you get into the rhythm, it becomes much easier. So I'm joining the first two rows of 7 squares, then I'll add the third row the same way, and this is what it should look like. all the squares join together in one direction, either vertically or horizontally, depending on how you see it. And all that's left is to make the same joins in the other direction. And when we reach a cross point where the squares meet, I just go into the second chain of the first two squares, then jump right over the seam into the next pair of squares, into their chain stitches, and keep going with the joining. Honestly, you can get all the joining done in about a day. It's not the fastest process, but in a way it's kind of meditative. At the very end of each join, I make chain 1 and cut the yarn. And here's what I've got so far and what you should have too. Basically, it's already almost a finished blanket, just with the yarn tails along the edges. You don't have to view those in right now because we're going to add an edging. You can hide them under the edging later. I'll start from the corner of the blanket. I attach the yarn, chain 1 and make 2 single crochets into the same corner. Then, all the way along the edge, I just make 1 single crochet into each stitch. That's our first row. For the second row of the edging, once I reach the end, I close it with a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Then I chain 3 and into that same space I add 4 double crochets. After that, skip 2 stitches and into the third stitch make a single crochet. Again, skip 2 stitches and into the third stitch work 5 double crochets, all into the same stitch. This is the repeat. You'll get these little shells, little fans forming along the edge. So skip 2 single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochets into the next stitch, and continue like that all the way around the blanket. At the very end, just close it with a slip stitch into the third chain of the first chain 3, chain 1, cut the yarn and view in all the ends. So I finished the blanket and here's the result. Now, before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about blocking the blanket and share with you some tips that might be useful. As soon as I finish crocheting, I wash the blanket and I used a washing machine because yarn allows machine washing. But here's an important tip. I put the blanket in a special laundry bag with a zipper. This helps protect so it doesn't stretch too much while the drum is spinning. I have a separate video on my channel about how to wash and block your crochet or knitting projects. You can watch it if you want. I'll leave a link in the description or it will pop up right here. I washed the blanket at 30 degrees as it's recommended on a yarn label, on 800 RPM with other laundry like a bedsheet, but in a special laundry bag. After the wash, when I took it out, it looked a bit stuck together. It happens because of the fibers. They tend to cling a bit when washed. But don't worry, you just need to gently separate the stitches, the squares, by your hands. The blanket may also look a bit smaller at first. It's okay too. Just make sure not to wash it in high temperatures, otherwise it might shrink permanently. I didn't film this part how I did it, but trust me, there's nothing complicated. After separating all stitches, all squares, all fibers, while the blanket is still damp, I laid it flat on the bed. I don't recommend blocking the blanket on the floor or on the table. It's easier on a large, soft, flat surface like a bed. Then I ironed it slightly through a sheet, just like I showed you before when I blocking the separate squares. After ironing, the blanket was still a little bit damp and warm, and that's the perfect state for blocking. I used small pins to stretch and secure it. First, I pinned all the corners and measured the distance so it's even, since it's square blanket. And yes, I stretched the blanket a little bit. Then I pinned along the edges between the squares, gently stretching to bring it into a shape. I left it pinned for about half a day until it was completely dry. Once it dry, I removed all the pins and this is how it looks. Nice and even, fully blocked. If you have more questions about blocking, leave them in the comments, I'll happy to answer. Now for the yarn, I used 6 skeins, 50 grams each. It's Bella Coco from Hobby. You can calculate how many grams I used for the whole blanket. Honestly, I thought it would take much more. If you want a bigger blanket for your baby, I'd recommend to buy at least 2 extra skeins. My finished blanket is about 83 by 83 centimeters, which is perfect size for a newborn. But of course, if you want to make it for yourself, for example, you can go larger. Considering I got this size out of just 6 skeins with edging and joining, I think it's pretty good. So I'll leave the link to this yarn in the description if you want to check it out. Personally, I love how it turned out. I really enjoy these granny squares, one color style, minimalist. The design of the square is just so beautiful and the result feels both cozy and elegant. So definitely give it a try, not only as a baby blanket, but maybe the blanket for yourself. Honestly, I'd happily use this blanket on my bed or couch. It instantly adds so much warmth and atmosphere to the room. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please write your comments below. Will you try making this blanket, maybe as a gift? I think it's a perfect handmade present. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye, kitties!